morning, everyone. Welcome to this presentation about Chalmers on FOLIO, a retrospective. My name is Larry Kovalen, and I'm a developer at Chalmers University of Technology. This is my colleague, Mare Ludvigsson. Welcome to this first morning session. Good morning, everyone. As I said, we're from Chalmers University of Technology in Gothenburg, Sweden. We have 4 libraries, and our 98% of our budget is used to electronic material, so not much paper or print. We are 40 library staff on these 4 libraries, and we have 10,500 undergraduate students and 1,000 PhD students. Our collection consists of 238,000 items and 22,500 loans per year. Our previous system before FOLIO was Sierra as MLS and Summon as the discovery system. And our knowledge base and resource management was 360 and in total.
And now we are going to tell you about our journey from those previous systems to FOLIO. And this is an illustration made by a colleague of ours, Eleanor Muller, and I just love it. Up to the left, you see kind of our old environment. A really nice house. It had everything. It had a pool, tennis lawn, everything you can ever think of. But we actually didn't use much of it, and it was really expensive and also very quiet. Nothing much happened, and we couldn't extend it or integrate it with anything else that we wanted. Almost no internet there, actually. And we decided to move to this building under construction. And we did that first with ERM and then with circulation, and that was in autumn 2019. So first we made a systems overview, but maybe we should check the chat. We made a systems overview where we looked at what we wanted and needed and what was possible to get. And it was quite an extensive overview with lots of meetings and tests and workshops. And we, as you do in these kind of overviews, find a long list of things that we needed and wanted, and also some principal discussions. But actually, we didn't find any way to have that combination of things. It was integration with other systems was important, but at the same time, we didn't want to make a lot of in-house development, actually. And we wanted to be a customer. At the same time, we wanted open source. Very important to have a transparent development and a vivid community, which that old building actually didn't have. Oh, maybe this one. So during that overview, FOLIO was something that someone was talking about. You saw something about it, but it was actually nothing more than that. It was, maybe this is going to be something, maybe an interesting idea, but nothing more than that. So we couldn't really take that into consideration. Meanwhile, in summer 2017, we were contacted by EBSCO, who asked us, would you like to go with FOLIO and EDS and the rest of the EDS suite with the knowledge base, etc. We would be a beta partner and one of a very small number of libraries to go first. So we stopped to take a look at this. But FOLIO actually didn't exist yet. So you probably ask, why did we choose a system that we couldn't even test?
So as Marie said, we heard of FOLIO, but not much. And there wasn't much information to go on online. There were some presentations from reviews during development during early 2017 that we could look at. But we made a trip to Copenhagen, us developers from the library, to meet index data, and they presented the vision of FOLIO, and we were intrigued. And FOLIO ticks a lot of boxes from our system review that we wanted, what we wanted to have. It was open source and had open APIs and very transparent development. And the community seemed to be engaged both by librarians and vendors. And there were several vendors hosting it or going to host it as it wasn't a product. And it was flexible and modular, just as we wanted, not a big monolith like Sierra or Millennium was. And it had plans for integrated resource management. So what made us take the leap? Why not? Why not be the first in the world to run a new system? If we can't be the first, we were a rather small library, as we see it. Americans don't think that. We're medium-sized for them. And we strive to keep things simple. The systems that we've developed in-house, we try to make them as simple as possible. FOLIO is that too. And our library management was enthusiastic about this, and as well as our library systems working with. And it was the right time for us, as we have been looking for a new solution in a way. And if it doesn't work out, we can always change to another system, as we already have done the reviews of the other systems. Or if Xcode didn't work as something like that, we could always change to another there too. Here are some images from during the development work before we went live. So how was it? It was much like we had blindfolded preparations. We didn't know what to do and how to do it. And we had to decide what we really wanted, what we really wanted for the first version of FOLIO to have that we could go live. So our librarians had to learn to read JIRAs and prioritize them so that we could get the MVP product in production. But we had no one to follow, and there were no guides on how to do this. And there were no data migration processes in place from our old systems. So we had big help from Xcode to do that for us. And we didn't want to use Mark in FOLIO at that time. We wanted to have very small information from the items or instances in FOLIO, as we weren't going to show that information out into the Discover system from FOLIO. So we had to choose what to map, what fields to map. And as I said, we had good help from Xcode for a tailored data flow into FOLIO from our National Library catalog. And it works. And we also transferred data to EDS, but it wasn't sustainable in the long run. And during this time, the development kept on going, and ERM went with lightning speed.
Yes, we actually thought we were not going to be able to implement ERM from the start. And we thought we were going to live with a kind of interim solution for a while. But as it turned out, there was suddenly a really good ERM that actually worked with the EBSCO knowledge base, which is e-holdings in FOLIO. And also it was made possible to display our license terms publicly. It was an important part for us. So we went live with ERM already in August 2019. And at the same time, we have this both usual implementation and at the same time very unusual implementation. And from the librarian side, integrations and workflows, they couldn't actually be tested until we had UI to test things with. And everything was changing so rapidly, so it was hard to test as well. And so until very, very near implementation, we could test things. And staff training is an important part, but how to do that with no UI? They played with the test instances, but not much more on that. But we are lucky to have a very pragmatic, a little bit frustrated, maybe, colleagues, but they were actually mostly in very good spirit and liked this as well.
So in late September, we went live with FOLIO, and as you can see, Marshall Brading tweeted about it. And now we are going to play a little movie that we made for this happening.
This actually makes me so happy. We can play it again and again and again.
Thank you.
Oh. Well, we went live on what we think actually was Daisy. But Daisy, it says here October 2019, and we went live in September.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the date's wrong.
Some date is wrong. Yeah. Anyway, it was the first 3.1 version. And the list of things that weren't there then, and there is in FOLIO now. It could be a kilometer long, I think, or more. But well, there were no data import and no data export, no circulation log, which I use all the time now. Things like you couldn't delete any user through the user interface. I'm working with acquisitions, and that was a bit of a struggle since the form is very long. So there were no order templates at that time, and there were very poor integration with inventory. There were no edifact used for placing orders, but actually it's there now, but we don't need it. No bulk edit, of course. Fancy thing like dashboards in ERM weren't there. Inventory was a bit of a struggle. You had to scroll far down to see your items. So many filters that didn't exist. There are statuses. There are so many things that were in that, and no folder docs. But it has worked since. Circulation, acquisitions, every basic stuff has actually worked, and ERM definitely.
So we went live on Daisy. Since then, a lot of water has flown under the bridge. And a lot of flowers has been released. We are now running on Orchid since this summer. And most of our system upgrades have been going very well. Some hiccups here and there, but mostly very good. Until the critical service patch 2 and 3 of Orchid. Then we had some major issues. And we have been evaluating our upgrade process with EBSCO during all this time and made improvements on how to do stuff, both on their side and our side. Always read the release notes. They mostly are accurate, but sometimes there are stuff missing, like permissions that should be updated, some undocumented API changes, but it has been worked out after that. So. And the release overviews by Molly Driscoll is something that Marie loves very much.
Yeah, great. Yeah, that's you.
That's me.
Yeah.
So, a part of the system upgrades and things we do in FOLIO, we have some basic integrations that have been done too. EDS and patron functionality that wasn't available before. And we have login through OpenEthans, both for general public and for Chalmers staff and students, as we're a public library as well. Our self-service kiosks have to be partly rewritten because of the SIP2 protocol used in FOLIO was not like all the other vendors that have their own versions. We made a web page to create library accounts that inserts the form data into FOLIO where applicable. And our Chalmers students log into their single sign-on to fetch information for that form to be populated. We have a small web app for information desk use that is for clear hold shelf lists and paging slips, and where they can help users change their PIN code as well. And we have some browser bookmarklets or shortcuts that transfers librarians from an instance in FOLIO to the instance in EDS or to the Swedish National Library Catalog and vice versa. And as Marie mentioned earlier, we have an integration to show license terms for e-resources, and that is connected as well. And our own built ILO system, Chilling, is integrated to FOLIO, so it produces instances, items, and holdings, and puts requests for the correct user.
So how is it to be first implemented? Well, many things. Of course, exciting, very exhausting. At the same time, while you're kind of inventing all the workflows and making things work, you get all these questions. Yeah, so we have been busy. But the main thing is actually to know, will others follow or not? Will this be a sustainable thing? Will we have to move again? It's kind of now that we feel that, well, no, this is going to be working. But it's been an interesting few years. Well, are we kind of, EBSCO said we were going to be superheroes. Mainly more in this, probably. And when you're live, finding bugs, patron faces bugs is so much hard. Well, it's making life difficult, everyday life. And when you're actually the only one live and just a few lives. There are not so many finding these bugs in the live environments. So patron notices has been quite a struggle actually. And so has patron functionality in EDS. It was not tested when we tried it, and to be honest, not our favorite thing with this implementation, and it actually still isn't. Also, when FOLIO evolves, our workflows have to evolve, and we have changed this data flow that Lara talked about to make it more streamlined data flow, and that has also almost been a re-implementation. And now we're also finding that due to our non-standard implementation, there are some things that has been changed since that we are kind of a little bit stuck in, and we need to make something with the HRRDs. One example of that. We have had good help from EBSCO support, but it has changed a lot. At that time, of course, there were no established support process for FOLIO. We were working very closely with the EBSCO consultants and FOLIO product owners, and we thank you so much for that. But when using EBSCO Connect, we actually had to explain what FOLIO was to some of the support staff. Now we are, on the contrary, very much a part of this very streamlined EBSCO support. Sometimes maybe a little bit too streamlined. And the support staff feel like maybe they don't know why we are different in some respects. But we have an ongoing discussion with EBSCO about support. And maybe we are a little bit unusual because we want to know a lot. We love communication and transparency. And we want to be kept in the loop and know what's happening, maybe more than some other customers. We would actually have a little bit less filtered communication and direct communication sometimes. And we want the EBSCO world to be as open as the FOLIO world.
And we are still alive, as you can see. We're here at WOLFcon, and we are still running FOLIO live. And we have a continued contract with EBSCO for the forthcoming years. And we hope to implement the new EDS UI soon, when the patron functionality is a little bit more mature. And we're looking forward to better title level requests in FOLIO, and automatic renewals and other circulation related improvements, and a reporting tool that works for us. There are several versions or varieties, but not that have been suitable for us yet. And of course, we're looking forward to work with our new Swedish colleagues from Linköping, which went live this July. And the National Library of Sweden is working towards a final decision to use FOLIO, and we really hope they will join us also. Thank you for listening to us, both here in person and online. Don't be a stranger. Say hello, ask us anything if you want. And you have contact details for us on the screen. And on the lower left, you have our FOLIO driver's license. Unfortunately, it didn't take any
I
of us.
forgot it. It's in the safe at the hotel room.
It's handed to the librarians that have the first FOLIO introduction.
It's really nice.
Marianne, who made this nice colleague of us from the driver license, she also made us win the WOLFcon last WOLFcon. Yes, it's very creative. She asked us to bring WOLFcon to him.
And one of the first things that I should mention is that the presentation is online on schedule. And now, Anya is going to take over.
I guess it doesn't belong with that.
I don't know, you could. Good morning, all. Thank you, Lauren. I'm here to kind of talk about, well, first, my name is Anya Arnold. For those that don't know, I am now the global director of FOLIO's, EBSCO's FOLIO implementation services. 4 years ago, however, I was just an IC, right? I was just an implementation consultant, one of 4. And I came to EBSCO to really implement this unknown system that didn't exist, and to build a process that libraries could follow and repeat. So we're just gonna kind of do the same presentation that you just witnessed, only from the other side. How's that? So before, as I said, we had 4. Now we have 14 folks, and 2 more that are, helping us in many ways. So we've grown a lot. We're global. We have libraries throughout the world. We have over 200 years of combined library experience. Every member of this team have implemented different systems before coming to FOLIO. They have also implemented FOLIO at their local libraries, or they have known about FOLIO and have followed the community and has grown their skills. So there's that. We still, well, when Chalmers began their journey with us, we didn't know how to implement FOLIO at all, because again, it didn't exist. It was screens and software that kind of worked on certain days or at certain times, right? And it became more stable over time. We knew we had to split up the work for any implementation into bite-sized pieces, and we had to acknowledge that we would never be done and that there would never be a finish point. And that's still true, because FOLIO is still growing, and that's one of the great things, that it evolves as we evolve. We used to say a lot that we were building the plane as it's in the air. Now we say that we're building the parachute. So I don't know if that's better, but that's what we say. Most ILSs are built in secret, and they spend 10 to 15 years behind closed doors. That means that we as librarians and practitioners never see the sausage being made. We never have to go like, where's this feature? What do you mean you can't catalog? There's no serials now? What? So we get to experience that. And I think I tell my kids all the time, like, you don't have to take a test, you get to take a test. You get to prove your knowledge, right? So we get to experience this frustration, this like about the system, because it is an open source community, and we get to step in and say, this is what I want, and this is how I would like to get there. Please advise on other ways of getting there, but I just want the outcome to happen. So we still believe that implementation is a consultative approach, right? In our title, it's implementation consultants, because we want to do this migration still with you. We still believe it's a journey that we take with you. We do not want to pull you along, because that's no fun for anybody, right? If I come in and I tell you, this is what you have to do, folks are going to resist. So we really want to know that you have chosen this product, you have chosen FOLIO as an open source community, and we want to bring you along there. this is a journey that we make together, right? And we prepare you, or we try to prepare libraries now, that it is systematic and that you're going to keep learning and keep growing. And we want to introduce you to the community. We want to introduce you to the POs. We want to introduce you to how to write JIRA tickets. So by the time that you go live, there's that there. However, with Chalmers, there was nothing there. There was no training. There was no support. There was, up until Daisy, guys, like we had to keep implementing the data over and over. We couldn't upgrade to the next release without remigrating the source data. So we've come a long way. To that point, we actually have a pre-designed broad strokes project plan that each of our now new libraries that come to us get a Monday board that kind of outlines in broad strokes what this process is going to be, and they are able to set up their own dashboards and are able to track their own progress on where they are in implementation. We've also linked this to the implementation of their EDSs, their HLMs, their locates, their panorama. So anything that is connected to FOLIO that EBSCO can influence, it is all there on the same project plan, which is something we did not have before. And all of our teams are in communication, which is also something that we were working towards. Training now exists. It's been about a year since we launched training, and we have, I think it's 79 documentations, FOLIO documentation records. We have over 53 videos. We have interactive click guides. Those interactive click guides are basically for muscle memory, right? It kind of takes you through to be able to give that link to your student worker and say, here's a refresher. All of these things we have learned that we needed to do because Chalmers actually put that idea in our head. Like we needed all of this stuff. FOLIO is huge, right? And there's a lot of interconnections between this. And this is one of the beauties and downsides of linked data is that when you like pull one thing out, it goes away. So you can see that everything's connected to users because that's your permissions. Everything's also connected to inventory. There's a lot of things connected to organizations. You can pull e-holdings and ERM kind of out and be able to do that on the SON. But it is very much a system that can grow and can be linked together. Just trying to pull up my notes. Just bear with me just a second. So it is an enterprise level system with many moving parts. And each one of these sections of FOLIO, a librarian can spend an entire career in. Okay, so think about like an ILS and implementing that ILS. I cannot be the expert in all those areas, right? I cannot know all those deep dives, but I can be an expert in circulation. And someone else on my team can be an expert in cataloging, and someone else on my team can be an expert in ERM. And so we have built a team in which we are all kind of experts in certain areas so that together we're able to pull upon ourselves. So it is no longer just one person that really helps a library go through. We're a team that relies on each other and relies on the libraries themselves to help us do this. support is going to be changing as well in the next couple of months, and that we're going to start embedding support folks into our implementations towards the end so that they understand what the library is going through, what their unique situations are, and configurations are, so that support doesn't have to ask a library, what do you mean? What are you doing? How is this going? But I will say that they are going to start being more involved in BugFest. They're going to start participating in dress rehearsals with the libraries. And they're going to be a part of that handoff to support towards the after go live. So we're really taking our notes from our current libraries and what they've gone through to make support better and more ongoing and more in line with how the ICs or the implementation consultants and the POs work with the libraries throughout. So it's not so much of a whiplash event. But we really understand that support is the longest arm of any relationship. You're only with implementation for a short amount of time. But when you're live, you're on that system for a very long time. So support needs to be there. So they're going to be more involved throughout the whole process. Okay. Training is also very involved throughout the whole process. There's embedded training throughout the whole time of an implementation. That way they can train towards those individual workflows and that they know the libraries themselves, which is amazing. Okay. I know we're kind of pressed for time, but I just want to open it up for questions for all of us. Yeah. Oh, there's a chat. I also want to say, like, because of Chalmers' belief in FOLIO and EBSCO, we have over 100 libraries actively using FOLIO right now. Like, that does not count who's coming. Mobius, who's here, those are 62 libraries just themselves. Galileo, 27. Like, there's going to be this whole other generation of libraries benefiting. Oh, Chalmers Rex, can you talk about your experience with reporting tools you've mentioned?
The reporting tool that we have access to, except for using Postman, the APIs to find things in, is Panorama. And we were beta partners with Panorama very early. But well, for some reason, the data is not really accurate, and it's a bit making the ad hoc reports doesn't really work for us. We have an ongoing discussion about that as well, but we want better and simpler and more to make on-demand reports. So we actually want something else.
I understand.
So Donna, I don't know if that answers your question. We are in this question as well. And we are excited about what's happening with the lists app.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah. And but maybe we need something. We are not. We are really basic needs. We just need our national standards, and we need to query the database about kind of basic stuff. So we are very much less advanced than most of you others here are regarding reporting statistics. Yeah, Aaron?
Are you able to query the database directly, or do you only use reporting tools?
Well, the panorama. Oh, sorry. Are we able to query the database directly, or do we only use reporting tools? Well, we don't use panorama since it doesn't work for us. So the only thing we do is to query the database directly through Postman. Now I'm looking at Larry. I'm saying the correct thing.
Only using the APIs.
Only using the APIs, yeah. And for the national statistics, we are using EBSCO Connect. Still.
We're pulling that.
You are pulling, but you cannot pull everything that we need.
Correct.
Actually.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's, Denise, can we elaborate what we mean when we are waiting for moving to the new EDS UI due to immature pattern functionality? Yeah. Well, the new EDS UI we actually tested. I think it was summer 2020, and we were excited about it at the time, and we wanted to move it to it immediately if it would have been possible, because it was only the search interface, and that's so much better than the legacy classic, whatever it's called, it is. But the pattern functionality part was not there at all at that time. It has been developed late during last year,
yeah,
and we are in close contact with especially Klaus Wolf at the school, was kind of our link to talk to other people. But and we at least need as good patient functionality as in legacy EDS. And we are almost there now. There's a little bit of a problem still with authentication. Confusement, I think, but we are getting closer, and that could actually be if we get there soon. I think we could get it, so we will move. But there are other things that actually good enough is still not there. So there are some basic stuff that we are living without now, and we would like that to be in the new EDS when we move as well, but we will probably take the leap when it is as good as that, at least, because the UI is so much better. Is that answering your question a little bit? Yeah, I'm sure we can get into more nitty-gritty about that. I'm looking forward to talk more about it. And also we were I was at the session with you yesterday about support, see? Yeah, and you were talking about entering tickets directly in the SUP. We are actually mostly using EBSCO support and entering our issues there, and they are making the support tickets for us. I'm not sure if that's what we are going to continue doing, or if you want us to enter directly.
Yeah, so we do advise our libraries, the ones that we host, to first log an EBSCO Connect ticket. And then if it is an issue with the community, we do log it with the community JIRA on our clients' behalf. So you do not have to go to JIRA if you do not want to. However, if you already know it is a community issue and you have no doubt in your mind that it's a community issue, you could go ahead and log it in the community. So it's a two-pronged approach.
Thank you.
Yeah, happy to answer.
So, are there any other questions? Yeah.
You mentioned authentication. I was curious. I saw online that Chalmers is the first to use FOLIO as a single sign-on with open outputs. how did that happen? I guess there is some other libraries that follow suit and using that, and as though open and close and sign up to.
Yeah, so the question is about authentication, and we are using Open Athens. And so how did that happen, and are there others using it? Maybe I can hand over to Larry.
The Open Athens solution that we are using is a two-stage process. When our patrons search in EDS and want to make a request, they are transferred to Open Athens, where they choose if they are general public or Chalmers staff or students. Chalmers users are redirected to our university identity provider, and general public is transferred to a web form that EBSCO provides us with that looks up the user in FOLIO, and then the traffic goes to Open Athens and back to EDS. I'm not sure if there are other customers that are using this solution, but I might know.
Yeah, and I just want to be clear that there are two different authentication pieces that we're talking about here. What Marie and Lauren are talking about is how their patrons authenticate into EDS, not into FOLIO. So FOLIO's authentication is completely separate from how, like, logging in to do your daily work. So just want to be clear about that. You can have SSO or SAML connection to FOLIO for your staff, and you can have a different SSO or any SAML compliant thing for your EDS. There are lots of libraries using Open Athens as their authentication point for their staff using FOLIO and EDS. I would say more than half. I don't have the exact number. And they're also using it for their guest patrons. There is a pin function as they talked about, that they can create patrons as well. So this is being used as standard practice as we move forward.
Yeah, as Anil mentions, we are using the standard single sign-on for our library staff into FOLIO, and they don't have a PIN code because we erase the passwords from FOLIO for our staff so that they don't leak potentially. And our application and work forms where you can reset the PIN code is also closed for staff. So the PIN code is only used for patrons. But it is the same password if you FOLIO to the state.
Any other questions? Comments? Well, I actually just, on behalf of the community and EBSCO, really want to thank Chalmers's, vision to actually go this way. I mean, it is a leap of faith. You had no one to follow. It is really hard to be the first. It is really hard. And you guys did it beautifully.
Thank you.
So thank you.